What is going on, fam? BN, I'm back again today for another Infinity Kingdom video. Man, am I happy to finally talk about some of these suggestions that we have for IK. Now, this is something we've been putting together for a while. We've been community crowdsourcing some of the suggestions along with feedback, not only from players that we have in S8 in game on our S8 Discord server, also feedback and suggestions we've seen posted just sporadically throughout the official IK server as well. And we've been putting everything together in kind of this neat, organized Google Doc, and I'm going to have a link to that in the description down below. And I'm just going to walk over each of the suggestions we have. I'll point out kind of, which ones I think would be nice to see earlier than later, and then we're going to cover a lot of them. And again, I'm going to take time to really explain in this video, right, how we're thinking that some of these suggestions could work their way into the game, and then how they can be used. Because I think providing a good visual explanation along with a written one can really do justice, right, when you are trying to show off, right, adaptions or improvements or additions, right, that can be added. So let's first start off with the alliance versus alliance battles, right? This is something that we in Server 8 have even been semi-organizing, right, with thanks to some of the alliances that are in the server, right, doing things where we will have, for example, for our kill event, right, we run everything in the middle of the map, right, through the Forbidden Zone. So, what we've been doing, I think, twice now so far at the time of this video, is we'll organize times. We'll say, like, okay, hey, everyone can get on at 15 UTC on this day during kill event, and, we can go head-to-head versus two alliances, right? Or we can just say, guys, look, any alliances that want to join in, right, we'll do a big kind of burst event. But expanding on this, it would be cool to see some kind of an alliance versus alliance event. This is something, of course, later down the road, right? That could be a separate instance where you have, it has like its own league. Again, like something like Rock, right? They have this as well for their Osiris League and others, where you basically take like the top 20, right, top 30 players, however they would do it in IK, and then you just put them on like a 1v1 map. Like you basically create a new map, these alliances go, you have some rules and some things, some objectives that they can capture, being able to go and attack other players, right, and that would be something cool to see. The next thing we have is, let's take a look at the management interface. So the management interface is something that I really like about IK. Now, a couple things. I would love to see them add a garrison tab here, right? Something where I can go to either my city, and there would be a garrison button, or even somewhere here on the troop screen, right, where it says train heal. Like maybe the first one could say something like garrison, right? You just add another tab, and then you can select and add in the garrisons that you want. That could be cool. If they had a research option, I think this would be really cool, right? If they had two tabs here, right? They had buildings and then research. Right, they just added two tabs. The building tab would look exactly like this one does, and then we'd have a research tab, right? So you don't have to go back into your city and click on the academy, click on one of the research doors, and then go in and select. That would be really cool. For the garrison, it'd be cool if you could, again, withdraw and place garrisons, right, like we said. The next thing I want to talk about is city siege. So for doing city sieges, right, there's something that happens, and one of our players brought this up, is that if you're sieging a city, and let's say someone last hits or kills off however many of the last garrison, right, at a city, but then let's say there's 5 other players that are sending marches, or even more, that are still sending marches back to back. And they're on their way to the city, but the city's already been captured before their marches hit the garrison. It would be nice for those players to have their action points refunded to them because they were not able to land a hit on the city, right, because it's been captured. So that would be really cool to see. The next thing I want to talk about is troops. Now, I do think this is really cool where, for example, like let's say I'm going to, just for sake, let me see if I can just click on a gnome. Okay, so here's a good example. Let's click on a gnome, and I click attack. It would be really cool if you could change these presets, right? So if I want to swap 2 to 1, or if I want to swap 3 to 1, that would be really cool to do. Right, so if you could kind of like, it says change formation, but it would be cool if it could say something like change lineup, or change position, right? because usually if you're going in, you're kind of already figuring out your presets, right? If I wanted to do, like if I want, and this is more of a quality of life thing, but if I wanted, let's say my primary march is on my 3rd, right? Maybe I want to just push that up. Instead, I would actually have to go all the way back into my troops. I would have to edit each one, remove them, remove these ones, and then add them each to the new ones, right, in order to do that. So that would be kind of cool for them to add that. Now, I know something that is going to be a little more later down the line. I know people have asked about it, kind of open field fighting, right? Being able to click on a point, maybe any point on the map, even if it's not an actual tile or a city or a structure of some sort. But if I could just click on this, and instead of it saying relocate, I could say like move troops here or something, right? That would be cool. And then you can kind of, click on your troop. You can move them wherever you want on the map. That would be cool, right? The challenge with that is that couldn't cost action points, right, as far as just to move the troop out. But it could still cost action points based on how far the troop is away from the city when it's about to go and attack. And that's just if we're keeping it in line with the way that IK is currently set up. But again, something that would be cool if it was added later down the line. Again, I'm sure there's things that we could still dive into more about that. Recalling troops. This is a big thing on the troop tab. So being able to recall a march when it's midway, going towards anything, right? If my march is going to a gnome boss, if it's going to a regular gnome, if I'm going to attack a city, right? The ability to cancel the march and then get a full AP refund. Now, the reason I'd like this is because, again, let's say that I accidentally clicked on the wrong gnome level. Maybe I don't want to attack a lower level. Maybe I want to attack a higher level. Maybe I accidentally clicked the wrong gnome boss. Maybe I'm going to attack a city that I don't want to attack anymore. Or I do want to attack it, but then I want to feint it out or something like that, right? Kind of do like a fake attack for whatever reason, right? I think there's a lot of value. Or as an example, right? Like let's say I'm heading to a node, but now I don't want to head to that node anymore. I need to go somewhere else, right? This allows for real-time adjustments to be made, and getting a refund on AP still does not mean that the march is going to immediately come back, right? Like there's still good value where if you're sending a march to go and attack someone and it's a minute away, they would still have to use one of those march speed ups, right? So they would still be exposed in that sense in case anyone's worried about that. But I think this is something that they do in other games where if you recall a march or a rally at any time, you do get your AP fully refunded. So I do think this is something that should happen. Let me see what I have next. Okay, so attacking a node. This is something that we've been noticing in Contention of Relics. So let's say your march is going towards a node in Contention of Relics, right? That multiple people can occupy. The idea is, right, and I'll just use this as an example, right? Let's say, because for some of these nodes, this is like the cube tiles. So as a cube tile in Contention of Relics, you can gather it, but you can have multiple people go and gather it. Meaning that you could have, I think, up to 10, 15 people, however many it is, depending on the level of the cube tile. But let's say I'm marching to the tile, and I have an alliance member that's in the tile, but that tile's about to be attacked. Now let's say the enemy defeats the troop that's in that tile, they take it over, right? So instead of me going out to that tile to garrison it, now it would adapt based on who is in the tile. So if it's an enemy, then my march would attack. If it's not an enemy, then my march would just standardly garrison, or vice versa. Let's say an enemy's in there, and I'm going to attack it. But then the enemy gets kicked out, and let's say an alliance member is in there now. So when I get there to the tile, instead of attacking it, I'll just garrison it. This is something that I think would be an interesting mechanic to explore. Currently, the way it is set up is that if I'm going to a tile, like if I'm going to the tile at the same time an enemy's going to the tile, if they get there first, I will basically just do like it's like an empty attack. It does an empty attack where it doesn't really hit. It just auto starts returning back home. Right? So now, I do like that in some senses, based on how it's currently set up, because it doesn't really punish you, right? So there is that one benefit. And if you're going to the tile and attacking it, right, and then someone gets kicked out, right, at least you're not going to lose any troops, because you wouldn't have an enemy on the tile. So I'm a little 50-50 on it. I do like the suggestion because it at least adapts to where it is, and it's not like you're sending your march there for nothing, so to speak. Right, you're kind of treating it based on is it friend or foe that's in the tile. So just something to keep in mind. Doing like a rally stacking feature. This is something that is so incredibly big right now. So if I want to do a rally on anyone, right, and let's say I click the rally. I do like that they give you the option for like shorter rallies, right? I like that they have it like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 31. I would love to see them add a 1 and 2 minute rally to this. I would also like to see them add an 8-hour rally to this, so to speak. I think this would be great. This is something that they have in Rock, and I really like this feature. So even if they left it like this, but they just added a 1 minute and then if they added like a 1 minute rally, a 1 minute or even an 8-hour rally, that would be cool. The thing I like about the rally system, though, which is something that is in my opinion, I think a little bit better than other games I've played, is that you have the opportunity to start the rally the moment that the rally fills up. And in other games I've played, you actually have to wait. Like even if the rally fills up, you still have to wait for the timer to end before the rally will go. So this is something I really like that they've added in as this mechanic, but I would like to see, if possible, for them to maybe add something in down the road where they do like a 1 and an 8-hour rally. Now, the rally stacking mechanic, I would love for this to be an addition to what they currently have, right? The way that the rally system works now is everyone joins the rally, and then each of the players' marches will hit the enemy garrison one by one. This doesn't really allow for you to challenge bigger players, right? For example, whales that have gone rogue or bigger players that are just kind of doing whatever. In the game right now, at least until endgame, leading up to that, right, the big players that have the strongest troop power marches, right, are really kind of the invincible-ish big dogs on the map. Now, there are ways to combat it, and that'll probably be talked about in a later video, but and again, I'm not saying change the mechanic. I like the way that the current kind of shotgun rally feature operates. I would just love for them to add a second option, which would be like a stacking option, where, and this is how it works in other games as well, where you have a rally leader, and you choose the rally leader based on the skill, based on their march composition, right? The immortals they have chosen, how leveled they are, how skilled they are, and then based on the support skills they have added. Then, for people that join the rally, they're essentially just bulking up the troop power and and then the load as well, right? And then their troop tiers are getting added in, right, to make up a higher total troop power for the rally. And then you can make it to where the additional immortals that are getting added, just their skills, like their active skills, would be the only ones that are used, right? Or you can make it to where their active skills and their support skills are also used and stacked onto the rally leaders, immortals, active skills, and support skills, right? But if you just want to keep it simple and bare bones, like I said, even if it's just a matter of starting out something simpler before you add on to it, just being able to add to when you join a rally for the stacking option, it increases the overall troop power based on the additional troops that are being sent to it, right, to increase the overall amount of troops for the rally leader's troops, and then therefore increasing the overall troop power, right, where you would still pick the rally leader based on who has the better composition matchup or the better counter composition matchup based on the enemy you're fighting. This would allow for you to go in and do a 150k or a 200k troop power rally against a big rogue whale that has maybe 130 or 140k troop power, but you just don't have anyone strong enough to combat him, right? And keep in mind, the same thing works on the opposite ends, right? So you can do defensive garrisons, where you can have other players assist the player who's getting attacked, and then the same thing will happen, right? They'll stack on the defensive garrison, right, and then increase the defensive garrison's troop power, right? So potentially their troop power might exceed the rally troop power. Maybe it's under, or maybe it's close to. But just allowing this option will give players in kind of lawless servers at least some tools to fight against bigger players, because this is a mechanic that's done in other games. So I would love to see this added, and hopefully added sooner than later would be lovely. Now let's go ahead and dive into gathering. So gathering is something I'd like. This is a quality of life thing, but as an example, let me go over here, and you can see that I'm gathering from a logging camp and a stone. So let me do a level 6 search for stone. So I do a level 6 search for stone, and it prompts me one that's close. Let's do one for logging, and then it prompts me another one that's close. But here's the kicker. If I click logging again, it stays at the same one. The same thing for if I do stone, right? Now, this is the cool thing, right? You can rotate this. This is a little trick. So if you do this and you kind of go back and forth, it'll just take you to the next one that's available. But it doesn't take you to like the next one, right? Where it searches for every single one in the vicinity, and after you do it for a while, you'll see it kind of goes back and forth. It would be nice if I clicked on logging again, it would then take me to another logging camp that is within a certain radius of my city, right, and then just go to the next one. Right. Again, it's a quality of life thing. This is something I know I've seen in another game, and I would love to see something like this added. I think it would really relieve people having to kind of search all the time. And of course, when you search for something, it would only search for free or unoccupied tiles. Now I want to talk about King. This is by far one of the most important things that I think they absolutely need to add, and hopefully sooner than later. Now, as an example, the way that the World Heart operates is very similar to how a capital operates, right? So if I click King, right, I can see who the king is, right? It gives me these options here. As far as I can see these, I can see who the ministers are, the Grand Marshal. But now let's go to a city that we control, because essentially the functions and the options you see at capital cities in addition to the World Heart are the same. So let's look at, where am I going here? Okay. So here's a capital city, and, oh geez, whenever it decides to load. So you're going to see a couple options here at the capital city. Now, when I click on it, you'll see official position, check, construct, and garrison, right? Now, check is just showing you kind of wall durability, right? Just shows you some data. The main one here is official position, right? This is where you go when you're looking at the king. When we just looked at the king option there at the World Heart, right? It allows for me to set, as an example, right, who I want the person to be, right? If I'm going to issue an order, if I'm going to go ahead and issue these options as well. Right now, I actually have to go in here and redo it. But again, right, these are things that you can do, right? If you want to go in and you want to look at, and for example, you want to be able to look at orders or assigning titles, right? So just something to think about. So what I would like, though, to see added to this is I would love to see, and this is mainly for World Heart, I would love for me to be able to go in here. I see official position. I would love to see something that says server mail, right? This is something that they have in Rock and Rise of Kingdoms and in other games, where you can send a server-wide mail or a King's mail out to every player in the server. I cannot tell you how valuable this is for servers, for a server's development overall, right? So essentially, this is the same screen, as I said, you're going to see if you click on World Heart, if you own it, right? And this is the same similar screen you'll see for any other capital building on a server. But if they added something here that said server mail or send mail, right? And the mail would send out, right? And they only did it for World Heart. I'm not saying they have to do it for the capitals, but just for the World Heart. And then I could send a mail out to every player in the server, and this helps in a lot of areas. It helps if you're trying to organize your server. Are you trying to get everyone from your server on the same Discord? You could send a mail with a copy-paste link that they could just easily type in, right, into Discord or into their search bar. Let's say you want to send a mail out on how you're going to manage your Contention of Lords or your kill event. You're going to send a mail out on doing a fun community ran events for your server. You're going to send mails out when you're trying to prepare for server versus server, when that eventually comes out. There are a lot of, maybe you just want to send out best practices. Maybe you want to send out good tips to players in your server. I cannot tell you how valuable being able to send a server mail slash a King's mail out to every player in the server really is, and I do hope this is something that is added in sooner than later. The next thing I want to talk about is hospital. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look inside the city. So we kind of broke it up for the first half of the video is kind of outside of the city. Now we're going to take a look at things inside the city. So the next thing, and this is pretty straightforward, hospital. I would love for them to add helps to the hospital. Right, you can do helps for research, you can do helps for buildings, and other games you can do helps for healing, right, or for reducing time to heal in the hospital. I would love for them to add helps, and that can be based off the castle level as well, right, for being able to speed up hospital healings. The next one would be arena. I would love for them to be able to add an option to reroll here, right? Now, the average ticket price is 20 gems for one arena ticket. They could make the price 10 green gems, right? I think would be okay to start. And the 10 green gems, they click and it re-rolls the matchups, right? So maybe they can try and look for a more favorable matchup if they want. But it's not for free. It still costs some gems. That would be really cool to see added. Now I want to talk about the chat system. This is probably the next super big thing for me, like the other ones I mentioned that I would love to see added sooner than later. So the very first thing is, can we add a friends list? Can I get an amen? You know what I mean? So Let me explain. I would love for them to add a friends list option where you can add people. You can even start out where maybe the limit is just 1,000, right? You have the limit be 1,000 people that you can add. But from being able to add players in game, you can then create group chats with them. This is extremely important because if I want to create a group chat with leaders from my faction, with leaders from the top 10 alliances overall, if I want to create an in-game group chat for my officers, right, so we don't just have to communicate outside of the game on Discord, that would be great. Let's say I want to create a group chat for maybe like a rapid response team when server over server comes out or whatever it may be, right? There's a lot of uses for being able to create group chats. And I think part of that starts with just being able to have a friends list in game, right? And then adding friends. That would be awesome. The next thing I want to talk about is the history of messages. And this is, for example, I know that in like standard world, Kingdom and Alliance, right, you can go back maybe like up to 2 days if you just keep scrolling. Now, I'd love if they could extend that or if there's a way to do that, right, where maybe you can go back like a week or something, or at least more than a couple days. That'd be nice. But the big thing I really would love is if I send a message to someone, it saves that chat. And then you can cap it, right? Because obviously you can't do it in an unlimited way. But let's say you cap it at like the last 500 people you messaged or something, right? Like all of those messages will be scrolled here, right? So you can see how many I have. I have maybe about 20, 25 people I've messaged in the past like 24 hours. But over time, these messages will go away, right? If I log off and then I log back in tomorrow, some of these people that I've messaged, right, I won't see their name anymore, and then their chat history is gone as well. Now, in another game I've played, where if I message someone that I've messaged before, that chat history is saved, right, forever. So even if they disappear off my list, if I ever go back and message them or they message me, even if they've changed their name, right, I'll still see the saved history, the saved message history. I would love for them to have a saved message history. If that can last forever, or if it can last a month, let's say, that would be really cool. Obviously, forever is ideal, but if it could last at least a month, that would be great. Again, if they can have these go to where maybe I can have a couple hundred or up to 500 messages, player messages saved, even if I have to scroll a lot, right, that's fine. But that would be nice to be able to save those things. The next thing would be the ability to copy chat text. This is extremely important. This can be done just by clicking, press and holding someone, right, press and holding the text here, and then a copy icon comes up. This is how it works in another game I've played. The reason I say that is because let's say I want to send an alliance mail out, or let's say someone posts a link to something that's in-game. Even though we can't click it via a hyperlink, I could at least copy and paste it into my browser, copy and paste it from my phone, all right, and then I can go and look for it. This is extremely helpful if you want to send things like guides, YouTube videos, if you want to send Discord server links, right, it just helps out a lot. And I think the ability to copy chat text is definitely something that should be added in, and hopefully sooner than later. The next thing that I've heard people say is the ability to mute world and kingdom chat. Now, though it may not bother me that much, I do like the idea. And I do think it is something that is a quality of life update that will keep people. It'll hopefully keep their sanity in stress free. So I do think I like the idea of, if I go to Kingdom or if I go to World Chat, something that I can go up here that says mute, right? Because obviously I can blacklist people, but I would love to see where something that says here, maybe a button here between World and this that says mute, something like that, right? Would be nice, so that people don't get messages all the time from World or Kingdom Chat. Another thing that could be cool to see, and this is just something I thought of, but being able to ping actual players in-game, right? Like if you want to ping them in a World Chat or a Kingdom Chat, maybe an option for that, but then still include an option to mute pings, right? Where maybe I can do something like @ or equals, like some kind of symbol, right? And then I can do like @ someone's name, like Major, right? And then it would give me a list, right? Similar to kind of how you would do it on Discord. Now that might be a little bit more of an intense edition, but that would be cool, because then people would know if they get pinged, if something important happens or something they need to see in World Chat or Kingdom Chat, they can get notified of it, right? That would be cool. The next thing I want to talk about is notifications. So notifications, if I go to settings and then we go to wherever notifications is, the option to add a notification when your troop or your march returns from gathering. From my knowledge, I do not believe there is one. There's not. So I would love if maybe they add, and this could be another video as well. I'm sure there's other things people would like to get notified on, but a notification for when your march returns from gathering, when it returns to your city after gathering from a resource tile. That would be great. The next thing is, let me talk about Alliance. So this is something that is really important, because and again, you could just say this is like money problems, but the thing about the Alliance tab is that markers, so like as an example, if I appoint someone for a capital, if I put a marker out, if I send an Alliance mail, if someone purchases something, all of those are all bundled into this Alliance tab. What I would like to see is I would like to see a separate tab specifically for Alliance mails. Just to be honest, like the appointments are cool. Like I would love to see something separate for, and honestly, if I'm really going, I would love to see it for Alliance mails and markers. But the challenge is that I think markers are okay because you can see those on the map, right? I can go out of the map, I can click at the star on the top, and I can see what the current markers are. I would really like a tab that is separate from here that says Alliance mails, right? Something that can say Alliance mails, and then something that can say something else, right? Like ally notifications, or even if it just says Alliance and then another tab that says Alliance mails. This is something that a lot of other players have mentioned by being able to do it, because even if you have a bunch of low spenders that are just buying small daily deal packs, like over a 24-hour period, it's going to flood your inbox, right? And if you have people that do a lot of markers, it's going to flood your inbox, right? If you own multiple capital cities and you're adjusting officer positions or title positions, right? That's going to flood your inbox. So something that is separate, that has an Alliance mail or some way that, like, okay, here's a better example. Let's say if they don't do that, they make it so that Alliance mails get pinned to the top of this Alliance tab. And the only way they get unpinned is if you read them. If you read them or you click it, and then once you click off of it, then it'll go back to whatever its original position was, right? Or it'll start at the top here and then just go down in the queue normally as more mails come in, right? Or more Alliance notifications. If you pin Alliance mails, so they're at the top in order of when they came, in the order of when they were sent, that could be another workaround. So Alliance mails do not get lost. Right, and if that's easier than creating a separate Alliance mail tab, I'm totally fine with that. But there needs to be a way that Alliance mails are not out of sight, out of mind, and players have to dig through all of their Alliance notifications just to find them. The next thing would be show war reports if players are attacking tiles or if your player is attacking a tile. This is something currently that is not shown. So if I go here, right, I can see attack reports. I see these things if players are attacking other players. Or if cities are being attacked, but you don't see this if players are attacking tiles, or if an Alliance member's tile is being attacked by someone else. That would be a great addition. I would love for them to add other options for statistical mails, right? So as an example, if I want to send a mail out and I click on the statistics mail, I can only send between 10 and 240 minutes, which is 4 hours, right? So I would love for them to add a 12-hour and a 24-hour option. The main reason is because this is like a ready check. So if I send a mail out and I'm like, hey, who's going to be on this day, a few days out, right, from now, having the ready check available or the statistical mail only available for 4 hours is not going to allow every single player in an international alliance an opportunity to respond to that. So I do believe they need to, at bare minimum, add a 24-hour option, but I think adding a 12-hour and a 24-hour option would be great, right? So that's something I'd love to see. I would love to see weekly rankings, right? Or just a rankings tab. So it could be anywhere on here. But if it said something like rankings, like another rankings thing, and then when it pulled up, it would show multiple tabs. It would show rankings for like the top donators, for the top helps, for the top dismantle durability, the top deads, something, I would love to even see something if it said like consistency for days logged in, right? Or for every day they at least logged in once, right? It would show a record. Like, so the most people, right, if you've logged in for 20 or 30 days, right, it would show another ranking like that. I would love to see a rankings list like that, again, reset every week, right? So you have a weekly one, and then you can have like a global rankings list, right? This is something they have in Rise of Kingdoms as well, where they have like rankings that do weekly resets. Those are for things like, again, your donations, your helps, your dismantle durability, right? Your deads, right? And then I think it'd be cool to have a global ranking, like a separate tab that doesn't reset, but it just shows how many days you've consistently logged in for, or something like that. And then maybe if there's other things that could get added. I would love to see something like that added to the Alliance window. The other thing I would love to see is the date joined. So let's say I'm going through my players. I would love to see, like, you see the power here, you see the activity. I would love to see something here that says date joined, right? Or they can add like the flame status to the actual avatar, and then it says date joined here. I think that would be great. Or if I'm able to click on someone who's in my alliance, and then a new line item here as added to the player card that says date joined alliance, or joined alliance on something like that. That would be great. Now I'd love if it could just be here on the player card for a quick view. But if it can't, I'd be fine with getting it added to the actual player card itself. And the reason why is because, like, let's say someone joined and I just want to see what their donations or what their power is at, right? Instead of having to keep spreadsheet information on this stuff, I can just already look at this and go off of, are they active? Are they donating, right? I can tell based on what their last donation was. If I have a weekly ranking sheet, I can do these things, so so players like myself and others don't have to keep separate spreadsheets for as many things. That would be great. Now I want to talk about the war or the Lord talent tree. I would love if they could quantify this. So as an example, if I go into Lord talents, and let's say I click on development or military, if any of these things add power to my overall Lord power, which to my knowledge I don't think they do, but if it is something, especially on the military tree, right, for things like as examples that are passive things that you don't actually have to click on, which some of these things I don't believe are, but again, you could make the argument this is like an extension of your academy, right? When you research a tech, there's power that's associated with that. So, again, I would love to see if maybe that's something that can be added. But on the other end of it, I also think that it's a good idea that maybe it's not added, mainly just because then it's going to add to your overall power, which means that if you're looking to migrate, right, it's going to just factor into you hitting that 1 mil power that much faster, right, which obviously would stop you from migrating out of the current server. So, I'm 50-50. I would love to hear what you guys think. The next thing is the Treasury. Now, the Treasury, I would love for them to do something where you can still unlock or click other chests, right? So, as an example, this one is unlocking. I would love to be able to click on other chests, and then if I have a key for that chest, I can unlock it, right? Which means that I can then go out there and start farming more gnome bosses without having to unlock each of the chests one by one, or only be able to click on one at a time, right? And even though if there's nothing happening, right, or if there's nothing being unlocked, I can still click on everything and unlock the ones one by one. But let's say I have one chest left and I'm unlocking it. and I go out there and I hunt 2 more chests, I still want to be able to click on those chests. So I think this is a quality of life, but I would love to see this added. The next thing is going to be dragons. I would love for them to put a power amount on the dragon's skills. Right? So as an example, if I'm upgrading a skill, I would love for it to show like the current power or the amount of power that it's adding, whether it be overall to Lord power or the amount of power that it's adding to my troop power for the march, right? That would be nice if we can visually see that. And if it's already included, that's fine. I would just love to see if there's a way we can see that number. Now, the next thing would be, let me go back to Lord talents. So for Lord talents, I would love to have presets. So as an example, if I could have, maybe I could have 3 presets, right? 1 can just be for development. You can give 2 to military, and or you can use them however you want. But having maybe at least 3 presets to start, so I can quick switch instead of having to do the reset and click on everything, right? I can reset it and just click a new preset. This, in my opinion, is going to be extremely valuable for if you're doing any PvP on your server, and even more importantly for when server versus server comes out. So being able to have Lord talent presets, I think, is extremely valuable, and I would love to see that added. The very last thing we're going to talk about here, and I know we're finally done, is going to be the Academy. Again, another quality of life update, but I would love to be able, from the Academy, to go in here, click on research. As you can see, I'm upgrading something. I would love to then be able to click on this and see what the prerequisites are, right? Because all it shows me is superhuman speed, right, being upgraded. Now, I know this is being upgraded already, but I would love for, instead of it saying that, I would love for it just to go back to what it normally shows, which is the prerequisites that it requires. I think that's great, especially if you're just looking to kind of line up the next tech that you want to upgrade, or just being able to see it, right? Again, more of a quality of life, but I would love for that to be switched. Instead of seeing the current research or tech upgrade, revert that and then go back to what it normally looks like if you click on it while something is upgrading, where you just see the prerequisites. So guys, look, that's pretty much it for me. I think this video covers a lot of what we talked about. And again, I'm going to have the document link down in the description down below. I would love to hear your comments on this, right? Do you like a lot of the suggestions that we've crowdsourced and we've provided? Do you think there's some that we've missed out on, or even ones you would love to see us add in another suggestion video? What do you think about, again, the current suggestions we added? Are there ones that you would like to see added sooner than later for ones we've mentioned? Let me know any of that and all of that down in the comments below. And again, as always, you guys can check out official IK resources in the description down below, along with links to our server and other resources that we've put out. And guys, until next time, this is literally 37.5 minutes of fantastic greatness. I do hope this is something that the dev team, the game team takes a look at, and who knows, maybe they'll consider adding some of these things in, or maybe just take a look at some of the things we're talking about. But I think putting together organized and professionally structured suggestions where we give examples, we do deep dives on descriptions for how these things can be implemented and the benefits of them, will go a lot longer of a way when we're suggesting things to be added into the game for the future. Until next time, I'm out. Peace!